You are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Inside the Home Theater. I'm your host, Bill Murphy. We're coming to you live this Thursday, January 9th, 2025. Happy New Year. Thanks, especially to those of you who are tuning in after the fact, watching this as a rebroadcast at a later date. Everything you're watching live now will still be relevant a few days from now. So I urge you to still chime in with your comments and questions on anything we talk about here today. I've written myself a little script so I don't get lost this time. A few things to cover. And we'll start with the other day I tried to play the sound that's coming from my system to try to get some of you electrical engineers and electronics experts to weigh in and find out what this might be. I think I'm going to be able to get it a little bit louder and play it clearly for you tonight. And it's one of the things I'll try to do. And actually, there's been a development since I wrote that part of the script, so we will get to that later on in the show. Also, I've been perusing in the last couple of days the Blu-ray surround sound and home theater fanatics or enthusiasts, I should say, Facebook pages the last couple of days. And there seems to be a little bit of, I wouldn't call it controversy, but I'd call it more of trolling, maybe, possibly online. All in regards to the new release from the Super Deluxe Edition SDE, as we finally got to hear the physical media copy of Elton John Diamonds, mixed beautifully in Atmos by Greg Penny, the same guy that did the 5.1 remixes some 20 years ago. Going to talk about a couple of highlights from that, and I haven't come close to hearing the whole thing yet, but because there's over 3.5 hours of Elton John's finest work on there. And so far from the 5 or 6 tracks I've heard, there's detail, clarity, and separation on these masterpieces like you can't believe. But we'll get to that in detail a little bit later on. But first, I'd like to talk about the big news in this room, the incredible, mind-blowing MAG Theatron speakers, the cinema speakers that I now have fully laid out in the room right behind me, 5.2.4 configuration with 4 MAG Theatron Class D amplifiers. And my new favorite word in this business is headroom. And I know a lot of you have always thought that's been the most important word forever. But is this microphone even on? Yes, so just making sure that my mic was on. Just double checking that, because I didn't put the headphones on. So probably I should listen to see what the show's sounding like. But headroom. It's a tremendous amount of headroom in here, resulting from 750 watts driving speakers that are rated at 200 to 250. And there's a palpable feeling of headroom that's undeniable. You're listening to music or watching a movie at a loud volume that you'll never even need to be. And you can tell that it could get much louder without being distorted. And it's crazy. You can literally feel how much room is left in the amplifiers while you're listening to them. I don't really have any advanced cooling system in my rack, but all of the amplifiers after 90 minutes of a movie or an entire album, they're still cold to the touch, generating almost zero heat. So let's take a look at the amplifiers that are in my rack. I just took a photo of these that I can show you here. If I do this, then I can put this in the stage right next to me. So we're going to work from our way up, from the bottom up. These are all installed with an inch of racks or 1 rack space between each one to obviously help with cooling should it need it. Starting from the bottom, there's a TQ3000 that runs the 4 CS44 speakers. I can show you those real quick. These are the smallest ones, the rectangular ones on this display of the Performance series. The CS44 has a pair of 4-inch speakers in it, and that directional high-end waveguide that points the tweeter down towards the listening position is fantastic. And paired with this TQ3000 is just incredible. It resulted in an entire new level of enjoyment from Atmos speakers. I was equipped with 4 vintage Bryston 2B LP amps, 60 watts apiece, into Emotiva. I want to say those were A1 pluses, and they sounded great, especially for the cost. Well, the the cost factor in the Emotiva. Of course, the Brysons were resurrected, so there wasn't so much cost on those as well. But those are just fantastic sounding amps. So that was a pretty good setup. But these MAG Theatron speakers with the amps paired up brings it to a level that's on par with commercial theaters. And I'm not really exaggerating at all. It's there's so much more placement and direction and a feeling of a dome above your head of sound. Simple movie scenes that are outside or have a lot of ambience, a lot of people in the room, they truly feel like they were meant to be felt and heard the way they were produced. There's four speakers in that amp in place. I truly understand now what Atmos is all about. It's the real deal here. So, and I mean, I know that there's people that are trying to get reflective Atmos, and when you hear it real in a commercial type setup like this, you don't. It kind of makes you wonder why the whole ceiling reflective Atmos solution is even Dolby approved or certified. So next up, as we go from the bottom up, as we look at the amp, sorry, there's such a blurry picture. I took it while the room was still kind of dark with my phone, but you can get an idea. The bottom two are both TQ 3000s. Now that second one that's coming up handles my bed layer. Okay. Minus the center channel speaker, which we'll get into later. So this is running four speakers, the two M8s, which are the left and right mains, and the S8 surrounds. They're each getting 750 watts from that bad boy, that second one up there. And again, extremely overpowered with protection built into the amps, of course, that utilizes as much power as they need, but there's no danger of damaging them. These speakers were designed to go behind an acoustically transparent screen. But since I have a Sony panel in here, I've put them on stands vertically. They sit a little more than 9 feet apart, which is a little wider than they would be inside a typical acoustically transparent screen cavity. So this is perhaps providing a little bit wider of an experience than would normally be from these speakers. All right, and next as we go up, there's the TDC 3200, the third from the bottom. This 1600 watt per channel amplifier drives the two Hammer 15 subs that are flanking my screen. And as is the case with the M8s, the Hammer 15s are designed also to go behind an acoustically transparent screen. Now they're ported on the bottom, so these subs sitting on my concrete floor may be enhancing the deep low end a little more, but I'm pretty confident that the room correction has taken any excess out of that equation. They sound phenomenal. And I've heard frequencies in here that have, you can actually feel your shirt waving, slow enough because you're down in single digits for whatever reason, with all the calculations that go on in here and how the room affects the sound. It's really getting down there. And I'm told, I have not had any experience with the 18s or the 21s yet, but these 15s seem to be pretty special in the MAG Theatron line. So, and finally, the top of the four is the TDC 1200. I'm only using one channel of that one to drive the center channel, which is my M8 center channel. So there's M8L, M8R, and M8C. So and the L and the R are differentiated just by the way the cone, the high end is shaped. Okay, there's a titanium dome tweeter in there, but there's a waveguide in there that is an assembly that can be turned 90 degrees whether you're mounting it vertically or horizontally, because it is angled, I think, roughly around 30 degrees in towards the main listening position. So you can put it behind your screen and have it be completely flat, and not have to tow them in, so that you can get more emphasis on your seats. All right. And total of 11 speakers, 5.2.4, just over 10,000 watts. That hardly gets utilized and is plenty loud. I encourage all my friends, customers, dealers to make an appointment. Fellow distributors, come and sit down and listen to this setup. It's as you listen to the performance of this bottom tier of the MAG Theatron Performance Series, it would make you wonder in amazement at what the M12 or M15 speakers would sound like. Honestly, I feel like a room almost twice the size of mine. Would do just fine with this setup with the TQ3000 and the M8s, but knowing that there's a TQ8000 that could give you 2,000 watts per channel with the massive M15s is just mind-boggling to even consider. Now, to reiterate the size of my room, it's I know I've explained this before, but for those of you who are new to the show, it's roughly 18 by 14, and there are 3 theater seats in here that are equally receiving sweet spot treatment. Of course, the direct center seat is ideal, but not much is lost on the 2 side seats. And having been to CEDIA 2024 and several tech summits over the past few years, I can confidently say this demo room, and specifically the gear, is as impressive as most of the rooms I visited at those shows. Now, of course, you have to take into consideration all those rooms were, hastily built, and they're temporary and not as much room treatment as they would want. And I've had time to experiment a little bit. I've only had the processor back for a week or two, but I have had time to experiment, try different speaker locations, and I've had plenty of time to calibrate and use room correction. And this has created an inner dialogue in me lately that is just has me longing to see showrooms come back and fixed locations that people can visit. We lost a lot of these in the years of the pandemic. Was the mom and pop stores went away. A lot of them did, and we saw less and less showrooms where you could sit down and do A/B comparisons from one piece of equipment to another. And furthermore, when we do these shows, we're showing it to the industry and installers and not as much to the customers. So I'd love to team up with a bunch of you guys. I have this old dream idea of putting a building together that we could have people visit and listen to full systems sitting in the same seats, even have 3 or 4 different seats from different manufacturers or different brands or models to show off. Because, man, the showrooms need to come back, because the only way that you can experience how or understand how great these speakers sound is to sit in front of them. Send me an email at bill@letsgetphysical.com, or shoot me a text, or just drop a comment here in the video and make arrangements to come by and pay a visit to the room. You'll not regret it. I truly feel like MAG Theatron is the future of home theater installments that really bring the same feeling you get at a commercial theater right into your home. So check out all their great equipment at magtheatron.com and get immersed in this incredible equipment as soon as you can. You can even bring some of your own media, some movies, music, if it's something I don't already have, and sample it for yourself using material you've heard or seen over and over again, which is the best way to make any evaluation. Now, you'll be seeing images on a Sony XL or X95L mini LED 85-inch TV, and you'll see the stunning quality of the R-Volution Player One 8K as well, all connected with high-quality optical 48-gig Bridgie cables. Plus, if you've never heard the musicality and rich sound of the Anthem AVM 70 preamp processor, we've got one here, and it's amazing. But is there something strange going on in my room that's causing some very minor interference in my audio chain? So I was going to talk about that later, and I was going to talk about Elton John next, but I know I may have 1 or 2 of my electrically skilled friends watching this. Now, as I came in here to prepare for the show, I have Pro Tools. I have the Apollo interface so that I could, I had the input for the microphone that I placed in front of the subwoofer so that I could play the sound for you like I tried to do the other night. It was definitely inaudible. I did not have the input of the mic turned up loud enough. I came in here tonight, set up the microphone, tried to get the sound to come, and it's gone. I can't get it to happen now. There is, and I think you can hear it right now because I do have the mic potted up and I do have the input level turned up. I don't know which of you, any of you can hear this, because if I turn this input level all the way up and mute my mic, stand by, maybe you can hear this. Now you're hearing me on both mics, so I'm going to mute my main one and you'll hear what's left. I doubt you're going to hear that. I seriously doubt you're going to hear that on your iPad or your iPhone, but there's just a slight ground hum, and that is like the mic input turned up to, I don't know, 30 plus 35 or something. It's really cranked. so that a lot of that noise, if you hear any of it, is just really the mic noise. But there's a little bit of a crackle going on just from that one amplifier in the that the subs are on, and that's with the processor off. Now I'm sure that's just a little ghost in the machine interference going on in my home. The only thing I did before I tried to get the sound turned on and replicated for you was I turned my brother's laptop off. It's an old MacBook, and it's most of the time it's here, and most of the time it's on, and at best it's on standby, I guess. I turned it off, powered it down, and now my little hiss is gone. And I could only describe it as something, and again, I don't think that you would have been able to hear it because I needed to turn it up so loud. So if I was playing music at like minus 13 or minus 16 or my reference level and then stopped it so that you could hear the sound, the music would be way too loud for the mic, and there's no way you could hear it over a microphone. You'd have to be here in person to hear it. But I can only describe it as, so you're listening to a song, you pause, you go back to the beginning, and during that time of pausing and go back to the beginning, you hear, it's just a little bit of a whisper just coming out of the sub channel. And now it's gone. We'll see what happens. I'll do some more process of elimination, but right now I'm excited. Maybe it just is truly intermittent. Maybe there is a neighborhood electrical problem going on around here that not happening at the moment. But in any case, it's not happening. But I think I would just typically I would ask my electrical friends if typically, because I did speak to John Rock, my buddy, who's a real expert in this the other night, who did suggest that it could be some type of interference from something else in the room that is just sneaking in while that switching is going on. And perhaps it was that laptop that is now off and I can't get the sound to happen. And even if I could, I couldn't play it for you because I would need to turn the system up too loud and initiate audio, and that just won't work with the input levels here. So we'll keep you posted on that. The good news is it's even quieter in here than it was, and it already sounded dead silent unless you were really, really, really listening for this sound. So come on by and check this stuff out anytime you like. I'm inviting anyone who's watching this to send me a message or drop me a line, send me a text, give me a call, and just give me a little heads up and I can meet you. I'm usually, bouncing, pretty close by. So if you get a spur of the moment when you're going to be coming by Plantation and you want to visit, even if it's just for an hour or so, give me a heads up and I'll meet you over here. Now, the other thing I was going to talk about was the Elton John Diamonds. I did get finally from SDE that exclusive Blu-ray Atmos mix of Diamonds. It's Elton John's like 48 tracks. It's more than 3 hours worth of music. Full fidelity Dolby Atmos, lossless, of course. And after hearing a few tracks of it, I'm only a few tracks into it so far. I can really, truly tell the difference between streaming Atmos, which I did hear some of these songs before on Tidal, in Atmos, which of course is compressed. Because there's so many channels and you have to stream it. Atmos has to be compressed down. So a lot of the channels, I think, or all of them, are at like 480K. And now these... the disc comes out and you hear everything just gets bigger. Everything coming out of every speaker sounds more fidelic, has more fidelity, just more presence, and then the entire presentation is bigger and there's way more dynamics. I will continue to call listening to Atmos music on streaming services basically the same thing, and you old school guys will appreciate this. The difference between listening to a cassette and an album, or even better comparison, when you made a cassette dub of your CD back in the 80s and you were kind of impressed with how great that cassette sounded, but it wasn't quite the same as the CD. That's pretty much the difference of listening, in my opinion, the same disparity from listening to the real Blu-ray Dolby Atmos disc compared to the streaming Atmos on Tidal. And the Elton John, boy, I'll tell you what, it's so far the Daniel was a standout track just because those beautiful acoustic guitars are by themselves and the surround speakers behind you. There's a lot of activity in the Atmos speakers. It did a really cool experiment and turned off all of my amplifiers except for the bottom TQ3000, which is playing the ceiling speakers. So I played just the 4 Atmos channels for Your Song and Rocket Man. And it was beautiful. The rocket sound effect goes straight over you from back left to front right. And the string section in Your Song is all by itself up in the ceiling speakers. It's a beautiful thing to hear. And this is going to be one of the demo discs I break out when we present the room to you. Of course, everybody's going to get hit with Godzilla -1, the opening scene, which I've probably seen about 15 times now because of everybody that I've shown it to. But that will just literally knock you practically out of your seat. And just fascinating picture and sound for that matter. So that is so the Elton John thing, back to that for a second. So I was perusing the Facebook pages. I was seeing some guys criticizing it, saying that it just didn't sound as bold or had use of discrete instruments and different speakers. And if you read 20 reviews of this Blu-ray release, 19 of them are just outstanding. It's just one of the greatest releases ever. And then one will come along and say that it just wasn't up to par, and that they liked the SACD and 5.1 versions of the albums that came out 20 years ago. Same engineer, by the way, Greg Penny, who did they are beautiful. They are just fantastic works of art. All of he did 4 of them for Elton's albums from the 70s in 5.1 on SACD, and they do sound phenomenal. And I guess some criticism was that it didn't step out into the Atmos canvas enough, and that it sounded too compressed. Well, it's beautiful, and I think Elton John does as much for the Atmos format with this release as Atmos does for his release, because I think it's a compliment in both directions. And it really, really is a display of beauty on how it is. And I guess the greatest accomplishment is that you've got 48 tracks from I don't know how many albums, and to put material from that many different albums, all those different eras, all the studios, all the producers, all of the methods, all the songs for that matter, having totally different feel. Just to make them all work together in the same Atmos collection is quite an achievement. So I would highly recommend that as a must-hear multi-channel music home theater experience. If you're making comments on Facebook, I don't think they're showing up on my screen, so I'm sorry if I'm not immediately responding, but if you are, I will. Of course, you can, anytime you're watching this video, you can add comments, and I'd be happy to answer you back. I'll be checking regularly on this. Thanks again to everybody who likes and subscribes to the channel. We're just getting going, just getting off the ground a couple of months ago. I'm going to work on my lighting. I know because of my LED and how dark it is in here that this is fading in and out a lot. We'll do some quality control in the picture, but who needs to see me anyway? This is only stuff that needs to be heard. It's not important. We're just sharing information here. So I'm totally cool with the way it is. You can reach me at bill@letsget-physical.com if you have any questions or want to schedule an appointment to check out the MAG Theatron speakers and my Sony display for that matter. But when you hear these speakers, you'll know that it's much bigger than the image. And if you're shopping for a home theater and you hear these speakers, I'm pretty sure the size of the screen you were planning on getting is going to be rethought, because you'll probably want to go bigger. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for liking. Thanks for sharing. Tell your friends about the channel. If you have any electronic, or I should say electrical nerds out there that might know something about the mysterious ground hum and buzz that seems to come and go here. Turn him on to the channel and the show, and invite him to comment. And again, come and see me sometime and visit this beautiful facility here in Plantation, Florida. It's only a 15-minute drive from the airport, and it's worth the trip if you're planning to do a gigantic home theater project and you need to shop for speakers. You need to hear them in person, and this is one of only 3 places in the country that you can actually hear MAG Theatron speakers at the moment, as we've just recently imported them from Ukraine. My good buddy Jordan from Haterade Cowboy Cinema is setting his up as we speak, and we're going to get a good review from him, or we should say a very informative review from him regarding the subwoofers, the Hammer 15s and the SBV 18, which he is setting up and probably listening to as we speak, and putting a show together. So thanks, Jordan. Look forward to that. Also, my buddy Gabe Hernandez from Echo Home Theater on the west coast of Florida, or the west side of Florida, is experiencing the Hammer 15s for himself as well, and loves them. So if you're on that side of the state and you want to check out those subs, give Gabe a call. That's Echo Home Theater, EKHO Home Theater. So once again, thanks for tuning in to Inside the Home Theater. I'm Bill Murphy. We'll catch you next time. We'll probably try to do this every Thursday that I can, whether that's every other Thursday or, once a week now and then, or just when we get an opportunity. But regardless, we'll catch you next time. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time. Good night, everybody.